Coming up in this edition of TV Black Box, is the jig up? Do we actually have confirmation Alison Langdon is the new host of A Current Affair? Is 10's new reality show, The Challenge, a bit of a challenge for audiences? And will Cricket Australia be able to get big money for the next round of rights as broadcasters play hardball? You've got all the questions, but never fear, we have all the answers. In the podcast where people in the industry get their news, this is TV Black Box.
This is TV Black Box, bringing you the inside goss from the TV industry.
We'll meet the panel in just a moment, but first it was on this day in 1978. The Sullivans first aired on the Nine Network. It ran for over 1,000 episodes and was an absolute darling at the TV Week Logie Awards. The Seven Network was always considered to be the true home of Australian drama, but this series from Nine was one of the true challenges and is still remembered fondly today. Unfortunately, Rob McKnight could not be with us tonight. He is on a special assignment in the cottages near Willoughby at the Nine Network, if they're still there. But we also have the wonderful Matthew Simmons. Good morning. I still got the habit.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. We've upgraded from a ROB to an ROBB. I love it.
Oh, no, I couldn't stop there, actually. I felt a tingle. Thank you, Matthew Simmons. We've also got back, which we never seem to know. I'm not sure who this man is. Milk?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Mulk, and I'm a TV tragic.
Good to have you back, Mulkey, of course, which we're very excited to do that. Edit.
Great to have you in the big chair, Robbo.
Thank you so much. And joining us this week, we have a very special guest on TV Black Box. It is none other than the executive director at Binge, Alison Herbert Burns. Ali, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everyone. Hi, thanks for having me.
It's really excited to have you. Now, should I call you Hubie or Burnsy?
Herbie Burns was a nickname growing up. HB, I used to get Pencil for HB. One boss called me Pencil for about 5 years.
No.
That's a great stretch. I love that. Good Aussie nickname.
Pencil, all right. We know
just Ali, it's fine, thanks.
All right, well, we know you're big boss Al at Binge, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, you've spent some time in both Dead Man's Land, i.e. free-to-wear, and streaming. What's one lesson you've learnt from free-to-wear that you could take to streaming and vice versa?
Everything old is new again might be one. I think the second one is I've actually gone in a funny direction because I started in AVOD, then went to SVOD, then went to free-to-air, then went to pay TV, have just come back to SVOD, and now we're adding an advertising tier to Binge. So I feel a little bit like the lesson through the line has been the way customers and viewers discover content might change, but some of the formulas that make compelling television don't. So, don't get too locked in around the way you get your shows.
No. Pencil, can I just ask you a quick cue?
Oh, God, we've got to stop with the pencil.
Did you say Avon at the beginning of that? Or your
AVOD.
AVOD. What does that mean for our listeners who don't care for television?
Advertising video on demand, which became BVOD in Australia, which is actually only an Australian term, BVOD, which the broadcast free-to-air guys kind of penned when they were competing with YouTube really early on because they were trying to create broadcast quality VOD and differentiate that and the free-to-air kind of catch-up TV to run-of-the-mill kind of YouTube and AVOD. So, AVOD, we probably call it BVOD here, but, that's how old I am. Back in the day, it was AVOD.
Stop it. Now, we need to take a moment to run an ad that only Rob McKnight gets the royalties from. So let's run that ad now. Yeah, we won't be running that ad because he's not here. Now, Big Boss Al, can you see a future where free-to-air streaming can exist in this environment?
That they absolutely can exist. I think you've got you're on a carnival cruise with a buffet. You've just got lots of different plates. It's not like you've just got one big dish anymore. So no, I absolutely think there's a place for them, and they're still pulling big audiences and big numbers.
Beautifully said. All right, let's get into it. While the reveal of the next host of ACA is still yet to be confirmed, all eyes are firmly on Ali Langdon to land the gig. But who needs confirmation when you've got Kyle Sandilands to ask the Today co-host on live TV? While interviewing the radio star on the breakfast program, Sandilands went rogue and asked Langdon if the rumours were true and if she was stepping up to take the mantle of the flagship program. Both Langdon and fellow co-host Carl Stefanovic dodged the repeated question. Neither confirmed nor deny the heavy speculation. Take a listen.
Stop the speculation. Are you doing a current affair, or is Jackie gone off to doing a current affair? I don't know. Who's doing it? Just tell us.
I reckon.
Have they spoken to you about a current affair or not?
I reckon this might be Jackie's gig because I sit next to this face, and who could leave this face? Look at that.
Well, the face has been left before. Let's face it. Many times people have left that face over the years.
Multiple times.
And he can't afford any more therapy bills, so
exactly.
I'll stay in a normal.
So,
Kyle,
are you doing it or not?
No.
5 times.
You're not doing it.
So
Wow,
what?
far out. It's
With
like
this
a
questioning,
press conference.
he should be doing a current affair. Imagine that. Kyle Sandland's doing a current affair. There you go.
Well, you know, I don't know. I don't know any of the real news, though. I just wing it here.
Alison, there's no flat out, it's not me. Is this the closest we've got to confirmation yet?
I think so, yeah. Absolutely.
Who do you think would be a good fit? You're a programmer, you're a big boss.
Malk and I were chatting just before we started, and I was like, everyone's talking about Ali, but is Carl officially off the list? Has he ever formally denied or said he's doing it? I know there's a great raft of news people at Nine that they can choose from. They've got no shortage on the list, as we know. But I just wonder, but is Carl definitely off? Is he the obvious choice that no one's talking about? Or have I missed something?
Mark, what do you think? Is Carl back in the game?
Oh, look, not a chance. And I think probably the most exercise Carl has done in the past 6 months was him dodging those questions from Kyle. I think there is such a wealth of talent within the Nine stable that any of the people that we've talked about before prior to Carl could fill the seat quite well. I think that Alison Langdon would be a great choice if indeed she is going to be the heir apparent. Part of the conversation I had with Ali prior to the show was acknowledging that Alison's got great journalistic credentials. So the thing that makes ACA win, when it's not dodgy plumbers and, you know, how to save $5 in your shopping cart, it's when Tracy Grimshaw sat down and had the hard interviews, the difficult questions with insert person here. And I think Alison Langdon could really step in and do the same really, really well. She's got the opportunity to do that. Carl has a bit of an image problem where he's become too much of a larrikin in the Today Show context that even in his 60 role, he's a little too light and a little too kind of relational blokey when he does his stuff. He's not doing any kind of hard interviews or chasing anyone down any streets or anything.
I think that's a good point.
So I think...
And he can do it, though. We know that he can do it.
Yeah, he could do it, but... does he want to? And the Nine executives would then have to deal with the market saying, why did you put a bloke into a position that a whole number of very qualified and talented ladies who work for you could also have done?
Would also create a hole. It would also create a hole on the Today Show. Like Carl would be really hard to replace then on the Today Show. So is it which role's harder to fill, I suppose. But he's very, he's got such a broad base and a popular base, and there'd be a lot of crossover between the current affair audience and the Today heartland. So
yeah. Oh, and they push that hard. And look, to see Amelia Adams, fresh back from the States, stepping in and filling in for Alison Langdon while she was off on assignment for 60, I think it was. Guess who's going to get that seat when it opens up?
Can you please start saying minutes, though? I don't like it when people shorten shows. So if you're going to say 60, just say minutes. Just say
no worries, Big DB.
What about Sylvia? So what about Sylvia versus Amelia? Is there...
Sarah Arbo's also in the mix for Today co-host as well. Like, there's a few ladies not only to take up ACA, but to jump on and fill what Ellie's going to leave and fill that co-hosting job.
If I was really cynical, Matthew, I would say that this is a really smart move on the part of the Nine PR people, because if they give Ali the ACA job, they then get to have another month, 6 weeks worth of speculation over who's going to fill the seat next to Carl.
Exactly.
Well, I think it should be Yana Vent, but call me old school. That's who I'm pitching, and I believe Sportsbet have them at pretty good odds. Have them. Sorry, I'm such a Gen stupid.
They them.
Her. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. Let's move on. Channel 10 has found itself in a bit of a slump recently, with both of their latest primetime shows failing to attract big numbers. According to 5 Cap City overnight figures, The Real Love Boat managed a series high of 215,000, while The Traitors fared slightly better with a series high of 309,000. But last night there was hope for a change of tune when 10 premiered The Challenge Australia, where a majority of its cast... Sorry, I just vomited in my mouth. Are ex-reality... I refuse to say stars. I won't.
Sure.
The cast are ex-reality people who compete in a series of challenges to win $200,000. Let's have a listen. What an absolute joke. I can't stand influencers. Go ahead. Roll the tape.
Who are you most excited about seeing tonight?
I don't know who's here.
There's lots of people here, lots of Love Islanders. If you're a fan of Love Island.
No, don't watch it. I couldn't be messed about watching that, that's for sure.
Well, it did become the number one entertainment show in the under 50s, 25 to 54s and 16 to 39 demos, and I believe that they were all unconscious. The show only drew in 257,000 for its season opener. Matthew... I read the press release on this, and I also went to 10's website where it had to list who the people were, what they had done, and all of it was, Love Island Series 3, The Bachelorette Season 4. I don't care. I would rather see unknowns compete for this stuff than see these people
But Robbo,
do it, because
they all largely are unknowns.
No, I agree with you, but I just believe I would like to see, as I've said many times on this program, I'd like to see a real bachelor. I'd like to see a real bachelorette. We never do. We just can't because the Sydney bubble of casting. And this has happened again. We can't seem to have a new show without these people who we know are not in it for any other reason but getting money. Matthew, did this series ever have a real chance of being a major winner?
No, I don't think so. I was talking to Kev Perry a little bit about this just earlier, but it's a very niche type of program. It only appeals to a certain type of audience. Now, for context, the whole premise of the challenge, when it started in the US, but also how it runs through now, is that it features former reality TV contestant stars or whatever. So. Sure. So that's where I think the format pigeonholes itself in, because if that's what's working in the US and they've got this global championship, it's what they're doing in the UK, Argentina, it mixes all of these reality contestants in for this ultimate competition. So already it was doomed to fail because of how niche it was and pigeonholing itself into that bracket. However, being a fan of the US version, this, to me, it's a poor quality show. It's like that in the US. It's on MTV. It's trashy. It's dramatic. It's cheating. It's swearing. It's everything over in the US. Like there's really nothing that it shies away from. This met those expectations, I think, pretty well with the standard that we see now of the US version. So I really enjoyed it because of what I know. However, it certainly doesn't have the appeal to a primetime TV market for everyone, let alone everyone in under 50. So I think that they flopped here.
Alibaba, you can see that that they are going for previous contestants from reality TV series. They're not well known. There are so many to choose from. It's a garden that's overgrown. What do you think about that as a programmer and as an executive? Would people really be interested in watching someone who came 5th on Love Island Series 8 on the 9 network when it was programmed at 9:30 at night? Do we care? Should we put normal people in?
I think it's a good question because Australia's just got a smaller pool by our nature of our population. So often when we'd be at markets and we're assessing formats, you'd be seeing shows, and you see the Brits do it so well. They have celebrity versions of everything, or they kind of, they often do the first version of a show with celebrities,
Yep.
Think about all the cooking shows and stuff. And often we've looked at things and gone, especially when you've got a big ensemble cast, like, are there enough people to really, to do that and to strip across and to not have them, showing up on every show. And I think that's probably just a bit of a nature that we have a smaller pool of comedians and actors and reality stars. It's not even reality. So I suppose for the challenge in the US, as you said, MTV, it's probably using a whole host of CBS talent that are on staff. These are studios that have people that are like network talent, but in a world where there's fewer network talent, it does then make staffing these difficult. And I think that's probably why we don't see as many celebrity specials generally in television and Oz that you do in the UK.
Malky, really good point there from Alison. Is this just another format being pushed onto 10 by the CBS overlords to make it work in a local market when it just wouldn't?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Thank you for that, Malky. That was what.
Look, just to hit the fact, Australia is a smaller market, but the world is about to hit 8 billion people tonight. So maybe we've just got a whole other generation.
You got something to tell us, Sam Malky? Have you got plans later tonight, or what the hell?
It's due in 6 months. Look, I think the problem for the challenge is that 10's audience is fatigued with new formats. They've thrown 2 at them already, as you said in the intro. The Real Love Boat tanked, sunk, all of the great nautical terms. The Traders Australia did a little better. However, it premiered at the same number, ironically, that the Challenge Australia premiered at, 257 5 City Metro overnight. Okay. So the benefit around the challenge is exactly what Matthew pointed out as to why he loves it. It is absolutely aimed at his generation because it is all of the tragedy and all of the trauma and people that we don't want to see, F-grade celebrities fighting, kissing, pashing and doing Survivor challenges. It works on MTV because it hits that demo hard. 10, who say they're the under 50s network, but also still want to sell product to anyone that will tune in, have a broader demographic sell that makes it a bit tougher. So if the Challenge Australia can get its nose above and stay above 300,000, then it's going to be competing with My Mum, Your Dad on 9, right? Like, it's really struggling for 9. So if it can get over that hump and stay up there, great. If it can't get up there, then it's absolutely cooked for 10. Maybe catch-up numbers will be bigger. They really need them to be bigger for it to be a success. I do want to say the show is abhorrent to me. However, Briannie Dawson, as the host, is doing just the best job that they possibly can.
They're great.
And is excellent talent.
And well done to Bev and 10 for trying new things. Outside of what you've just talked about,
they've still trying.
Undress, they've had The Bridge, they've had things that they've just done for Paramount Plus as well. That's throwing a lot of new formats and new ideas out there, and they're taking some swings and trying stuff. So, it's...
and they've got to, Ali. That's exactly right. They are having a go, and when you compare it to 9 and 7, who aren't really having a go, they're head and shoulders when it comes to let's try new stuff. And I think that maybe that's what's towards the Christmas end of the year, 10 are finding it difficult to hit their audience because it is so many new things. There's just this avalanche of new.
And normally it's a nice time to, try things, test them and think if they do well, then you can bring them back, blow them up in scale and size the following year.
But it is little grabs, right? Not even let's give you 8 to 12 episodes of it.
Yeah, yeah. I know, I just always think of when Married at First Sight, how it had a couple of seasons and then got expanded and exploded and the format changed a little bit and out it came out of the gate. So, but I actually haven't watched the challenge, so I can't talk to the episode specifically. How are they rolling them out? What's the kind of...
It's
2 nights a week.
2 nights a week, standard.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I think. Sorrel will be there till the very end, just crying and yelling at people. And it disappoints me that I know who she is.
It disappointed me. That's why I was lost for words there. Let's move on. Well, if the race for broadcasting rights was an Olympic sport, it seems all 3 commercial networks are determined to take home anything but gold. Bosses at all of 7, 9 and 10 are this week eagerly awaiting the arrival of deal makers from the International Olympics Committee to strike a deal that may encompass all 3 of the next summer and winter Olympic Games, which includes Brisbane 2032. I believe that their tagline is yawn. Executives from all 3 networks are expected to host the stakeholders for either lunch or dinner. A lunch? What is this, Sizzler? What are we, 1995? Although no binding nor non-binding offers for the rights are expected to be made this week. Really? Over lunch? TV rights for sport has been a hot topic in recent weeks, with Cricket Australia currently in talks with the networks about their television futures. Off the back of a $425 million deal between 9 and Tennis Australia, 9 looks unlikely to take the sport and would potentially have to bump it to multi-channels in favour of the tennis. 7 Seven is trying to terminate their current contract with Cricket Australia in court, so it would be an awkward scenario if the two were to marry again for the summer. Also waiting in the wings is 10, hoping to swoop in on the cricket rights with cash in their paramount pockets. But is Cricket Australia ready to take the plunge with them? Mulk, there's a lot to unpack there. First, will the right meals served at dinner or lunch, as I've talked about, determine who takes home gold for the Olympics? What do people at the IOC like for lunch?
I hear they're big fans of the schnitty. And a Parma always goes down well. Particularly one Antonio Samaranch was well known for loving a good Parma, or Parmy, depending on which part of the country you're in.
Oh, well, we can get controversial pretty quickly. So does that mean they're going to take them to Melbourne? They're going to have a $10 pot in a Parmy? Are they having a schooner in a Parmy? Are they having
the drama
a schnitty in it? Oh my God, there's a whole other topic.
This is so true. Are the Olympics a lunch or dinner that Australians still want to watch in the numbers we're used to?
For the Olympics, Seven have hung their hat on the fact they've been the Olympics network for ages now.
Correct,
they will fall over themselves to pour money at the IOC to make sure they can lock it away, and everybody will want Brisbane. Everybody will want Brisbane because it's Paris, it's LA, and then it's Brisbane. And LA's a little bit okay, but Paris isn't great for the time frames of when you want to broadcast stuff and you want to show it live. Paris, most of it's overnight. At least with LA, we get morning, evening programming, if that makes sense. We get that carry through. Brisbane is our time zone, so we get to absolutely lean into all of that. I think,
and the feel of it, Australia. You can't get past just who we are. Yeah,
it's the winner is Sydney all over again, right? Like we get to have that experience just poured down our backs. It is a challenge because the amount of money that they pour into it to lock it away, in this case, absolutely will be about wanting Brisbane. It won't be about Paris and LA, but it'll be seen as we can offer you all of this money for those 3 summer games. And that gives us good advertising and a good opportunity to build our brand and advertisers connecting in.
But Matthew, why can't we say, though, when the diminishing dollar for sport, the diminishing ratings for Olympics, why can't we just say to the IOC, look, we'll pay top dollar for Brisbane, obviously that's in our market, but we are going to pay a far less amount for a competition that is not even in our time zone. Do you think that's okay to do?
I don't know if that just goes with the negotiations of television business. I mean, if I was the IOC, I'd be going, well, you're not getting any deal unless you can give us more money for these other games. You can't just exclusively
all the money.
Have Brisbane because that's the trump card. Like the ball's in their pocket to make that call. Otherwise, they're going to just lose the money and lose the opportunity. So I think all the networks know that's what's going to happen. That they can't just negotiate for that. I'm sure they could try, but if they do, I don't think the ISC is going to like it, and I don't think it's going to really help their chances at all.
Yeah, but I think they'd definitely be wanting to sell this as a package. I think you said 3 winters, 3 summers. From a free-to-air perspective, these are brand-defining moments, and they're driven by the volume and how it kind of sets up your, as you would see year-on-year for Seven, even compared to last year. Even if it didn't rate as well, they're going to look like they've got less ad revenue year-on-year because it's come out of their half.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So,
fair.
And when you're doing your average ratings for the year, and then that sets your share with the agencies. So, and if you know you're getting it every second year, and probably 1 and 2 of them is in a good time zone, price being right, the volume that it would drive to your ad business, which is why I also think this is such a big thing for free to air and free streaming, because it's a short period of time, but the volume that you can drive during that period has a bigger impact across the rest of your schedule and what you can launch out of it versus the return you might see if it was behind a paywall. And obviously there's anti-siphoning and Australian elements that make that difficult as well. But I think if you're the IOC, you've got 1 in Europe, 1 in America, and 1 in Oz. So I'm sure they're looking at it and going, we're going to get a better price out of the European market and probably the North American for those other 2, and then Australia. They'll probably have different revenues coming in across each game. But because they don't have back end to share with studios or producers or talent, I suppose they could divvy up how that comes. But I would almost imagine Australia might pay more for Australia, but I would think those other 2 examples, you'll see more money from Paris and LA because of the Northern Hemisphere time zones. Because I know that was a big part of the problem with Sydney, wasn't it, when it first came down to Sydney winning it back in 2000?
So I'm a traditional man. The 9 network has cricket. We've always known that. The 7 network has the tennis. We also saw that people turned on more to Channel 7 than they did for Channel 10 for the Melbourne Cup because 7 had it for a long time. Does tradition play a big part? This is a quick answer. Does tradition play a big part in getting these branded sports, i.e. the Olympics? Molk, first up.
Not anymore.
Al.
Not anymore. Yeah, I think traditionalists like you might miss it, but they quickly work out where it is and they'll find it.
Fair enough. Matt.
Possibly on the basis of reputation.
All right. Lovely. Let's move on now. Victoria is set to vote in their next state election later this month, but only those with Foxtel will be able to watch their leaders square off in a debate. The Victorian Labor Party has rejected 9's offer to televise a debate between Premier Dan Andrews and opposition leader Matthew Guy, which means no free-to-air network will host such an event this election period. Matthew, are Victorian free-to-air only viewers missing out on an opportunity to decide their state's future?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I remember when we had our Queensland election a couple of years ago, I believe the only debate was on Sky, and I watched it because I was interested. I'm into journalism. But, other than that, I don't think people really cared. I think a bit different if you're on a federal base because that has the whole audience. But when you're focusing on a state, I think you only probably need one, if at all. And if that one happens to be on Foxtel and it's on Sky News, well then go have it. I don't think viewers will care. Most of them will have their minds made up. And if not, you've got so much technology, social media to work out who you want to vote for anyway. You'll see all the big moments from the Sky debate if you don't happen to have Foxtel or Sky. And you'll make your mind up on that. You don't necessarily have to have it at 9 because as we know, not everyone watches appointment television viewing anyway. So many people are watching catch up. So people will just catch it up on their phones no matter where it is.
And doesn't Sky go free to air in regional areas? So this is a metro problem. But we also, I'm putting my Foxtel Group hat on, but Flash, which is a streaming service, 14-day free trial, sign up, watch it anywhere. So you can get Sky News. There's a way around it. And they have a really popular and really punchy YouTube channel. So I don't know.
Don't forget the relationship that Sky have with news. And in the past where it's been like that, often you'll find that the local masthead, in this case in Victoria it'd be the Hun, will carry it live on their website for free. So, the concern is people saying, I want to sit down and turn on my big black screen and put on the channel so that I can see the thing. And for people in Melbourne, look, honestly, I think it's a bit of an anticlimax anyway because there's no way in hell Matthew Guy is going to unseat Dan Andrews as Premier this side of the next millennium.
All right, well, earlier this year, Netflix was in a bit of strife when the streamer revealed they had net loss in subscribers for the first time in 10 years. But has Netflix managed to turn things around? Well, it might seem that way. According to their Q3 results, Netflix added 2.4 million households to its base through lots of changes, including crackdowns on password sharings and split releases for their major shows, including Ozark and Stranger Things. Alibaba, is this the right way to go? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think a few things I found really interesting, not just looking at the Netflix results, but Disney and the, the wave of them we got last week out of the US is, a movement away from a quarter by quarter focus on subs. And I think you'll see a broadening more generally of things that they report on. So now that they'll have additional forms of revenue with advertising once that, obviously it kicked off last week or the week before, but when you start to see that meaningfully come through next quarter, they'll start talking to revenue. And I think with some of the fluctuations that big shows can cause or an event like you see in Disney, a lot of Disney's numbers are coming out of India through the cricket. You sometimes need longer than a quarter to balance that story. It doesn't necessarily have to have an allergic knee-jerk reaction if the underlying story's got a little bit more to it. So I think everyone's down. Well, not everyone, but a lot of businesses are down this year in the streaming sector and Hollywood. They're getting good results and delivering on what the market said they wanted, but the market's moved.
Can I ask you quickly, Alison, are there too many streaming services? Is there enough water for the animals in the savannah and the animals are the streaming services? Is there enough water?
Well, there's never been more shows, I think, in terms of scripted and drama being made, but the demand and the appetite continues to go up. I think it's more about having the right revenue streams to support that content supply. And you're going through the adjustment period of you've traditionally had basic cable, premium cable, free to air. You know, most studios had multiple ways that they were monetizing through the kind of salami slices of windowing. And when you go to all in one in a low price streaming service, you either need volume and scale. And as you bring more people in, I don't think the audiences aren't there and the demand's not there. I think it's just the business models kind of adjusting to the change that we've seen over the last decade.
Matthew, we've talked about this before, where there might be a show on binge, so you're gonna pay for that for the month to watch the show, or you're going to watch Apple TV, or you're going to buy different streamers. But do you think more and more people are just looking at the shows that are offered by the streamers, i.e. The Crown on Netflix, so a new season has come out, they're going to buy that for a month, but they're not going to stay with it? What are your thoughts on that kind of cherry picking of streaming?
It's certainly not something that I do. I just have my clump and I stick with that, and I kind of deal with the shows that come out from that, unless it's something absolutely that I want to pick up, like AMC Plus for the future Walking Dead seasons. That I'll do that for. But I do think that we're probably seeing that increasing more and more. I know a couple of people that are doing that. So I think people will cherry pick depending on when their show comes out. And especially, and I know we've talked about it, my position on this has flipped a lot actually in the last year. But I think, you know, we're struggling with the cost of living. If you really want to see 3 different shows, but you can only afford 2 different streamers, well then absolutely cherry pick between what comes out and when it comes out. That's the smartest move for your household budget, and probably where a lot of people are gonna go now.
Molky, I've only ever bought Apple TV when the morning show or the Morning Wars was on.
Yep.
I've never bought it since.
Ted Lasso. No Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I know.
No, I haven't bought that either. Yeah, but I love that guy. But is that something that you do then? We've heard from Matt there. I would certainly, when the next season of Morning Wars comes out, I'll buy Apple TV for the month.
Sure.
And I would buy Netflix for the month to watch The Crown. But I'm no longer doing this suite of streamers.
Sure.
I'm cherry picking for the shows that I want.
And that's the real benefit to the market, Robbo, is that all of the streamers now function effectively as an a la carte service. This month I can afford to subscribe for this. Next month I'll do that. Next month I'll do that. Because, you know, everybody knows their individual availabilities. They can't sit down and watch 1,700 hours of television in a month. And so they go, but I'll save this, or I know that I'm coming up for a break or a thing, and I'm really keen to see The Crown. I'm really keen to see Upright. I'm really keen to see whatever the show is, and they'll want to lean into that and take that opportunity. I'm a bad person to ask because I will every tier 1 service in Australia I've got, and it costs me money, and that's fine. Some are very generously given to me, and I consume everything that I can through them. It's really a marvellous situation. That said, I'm also someone who obsesses over television and wants to see and know and access all of that content. So I acknowledge I'm paying a premium for having all of those things at my fingertips. For those that choose to go, but I just want to do this one this month, fine, you can also do that. I think the introduction of an ad-supported, cheaper streaming tier, as Netflix have just done, Disney Plus is about to do, and Binge will do in 2023, is a really smart move to develop and grow their revenue streams, as Ali was leaning into, and offer greater subscription opportunities, so that all of a sudden, maybe I was only signing up for Binge 2 or 3 times a year, and now with the cheaper thing, I can put up with some pre-roll and mid-rolls, and I'll give you my whatever it is bucks a month to watch it and to just keep it connected.
Sorry.
And I think there's a real benefit there.
Sorry, Mulk. Look, binge.com.au is the site that I go to when I want to receive free binge.com.au. Sorry, I'm not choking. One more time. Binge.com.au.
So that's binge.com.au.
Yeah, binge.com.au, which I just love watching. Thanks to Al, and Al's going to help me out with that. But binge.com.au, that's where you should go. And before I go, just binge.com. Still to come, Channel 10 confirms a TV Black Box exclusive. A long-time presenter steps down, and we'll find out what everyone's been watching when we open the TV Binge Box.
And now it's time for Hatches and Dispatches. With me, it's a Molkio.
Oh, fuck. No, I
Channel
like
10.
it. No, yeah.
I'm just going to keep it in there. That's the only one Rob gets. Channel 10 has confirmed a TV black box exclusive that a dedicated news service is set to return to Adelaide. From early 2023, journalist Kate Freeban will present the bulletin with Max Burford to be her sports presenter. The relaunch will still be hosted from the network's Sydney studio facility. The Foxtel Group have reported their first quarter 2022-23 results for the period ending 30 September, where total subscribers are at a record high of 4.605 million. Binge and KO were the big winners in particular, congratulations Ali, both reaching more than 1.3 million paying subscribers. That's an increase respectively of 67 and 19% year on year.
We've been busy. We've been busy more.
That's right, binge.com.au. Foxtel, however, ended the quarter with 1.4 million residential broadcast subscribers, down 10% year on year. A great result, nevertheless. Congratulations to our friends at Foxtel and binge.com.au.
I hope we own them. I hope we own binge.com.au, by the way.
Do you know? Wait. Quick TV story. Hold on. Quick TV story.
I'm pausing.
When websites first came out, the panel said that you should go to 10.com. And it was discovered that ten.com was actually a porn site.
Amazing.
And they had to actually say, no, don't go to 10.com. You need to go to ten.com.au. Otherwise, you'll get something that probably rated.
Bit of a surprise.
The rated porn.
Wasn't it like Scott Morrison? Or someone with like the on Twitter, the person that just had Scott Morrison was like a porn actor or something. Or no, not Scott Morrison. Somebody else that
Albo. Albo.
Oh, Albo. That's right. Albo's a porn
MP.
actor. There we go. That's right. I'm resuming the hatches and dispatches.
Please.
Creek to Coast presenter Sally Jennings has announced that she will be departing the show after 23 years. Having been with the Queensland Travel Show since its inception, Jennings said her final episode will go to air Saturday, November 19th. Asked about leaving the program, Jennings said she wanted to do less, giving no indication as to what's to come next or why she left. The West Australian-based production company Mindaroo Pictures have appointed a new executive director in Melinda Wink. She was previously Executive Director of Good Pitch Australia and Executive Director of Ian Darling's Shark Island Institute. At Mindaroo, she joins Executive Producer Richard Harris and Development Producer Cody Greenwood. Development Producer Cody Greenwood. I just had a 17-year-old mock moment. And finally, Kevin Conroy, best known for voicing the Caped Crusader in Batman, the animated series, has died aged 66 after a battle with cancer. He was the voice of Batman on the acclaimed animated series that ran from 1992 to 1996, continuing on as the almost exclusive animated voice of Batman, including some 15 films, 400 television episodes, and 24 video games. His other credits include Cheers, Tour of Duty, and Murphy Brown. The industry will miss you, Kevin Conroy. And Robbo, that's this week's Hatches und Dispatches.
Oh, I love und Dispatches. Thank you, Mulkey. We're now going to open the TV binge box. Now, look, Al, you weren't here last week, but I pushed for any series that was on binge.com.au. No one would listen to me, especially Matthew. So Matthew insisted that we go for The Crown Season 5, Episode 1 on some boutique bloody streamer called Netflix. Let's go around the group here. Matthew, first up, tell us a little bit about Season 5. I know it's had a little bit of
Well, it's starting with The Crown. No. We've got to do our shows first.
What we watched.
No, that's how I'm doing it. Welcome to the New World Order.
Big Daddy Robbo.
Let's do it.
Come on then. Sorry.
Yes, The Crown. Now, this is obviously profiling? That's not a word. Profiling, I guess. The dramatisation of the royal family, Season 5, Episode 1. I personally have only seen about halfway through Season 1.
Wait,
so
what?
I'm doing a big jump.
You're having like an 80-year jump, aren't you?
Yeah, like the time jump in my world is crazy.
This was your choice.
You know,
this was your choice, season 5.
But I just chose something new on a whim because no one else had anything.
I'm really glad you chose it because I love The Crown. But
everyone loved it when I suggested it last week.
Yeah, but you suggested season 5. No, I love The Crown, but you suggested season 5. You haven't even bloody watched it
because it's new. Because it's just been released. Yeah, yes. So this episode that I've watched with
professional
with Imelda Staunton as the Queen, I've read and heard a bit of criticism, a lot of it on the casting and how the people have played the different members of the royal family. I personally didn't find an issue with anyone. Definitely Princess Diana, Elizabeth Debicki. She's amazing.
Australia's own Elizabeth Debicki. Thanks.
Thank you for that little addition there. She's amazing. She absolutely nails Princess Diana from what I know of Princess Diana and what we've definitely seen. But I actually thought Imelda as the Queen was great. The gentleman that plays Prince Philip and Prince Charles, who's now King Charles, I thought that they were all great in their roles from what I know. I thought it was a really good first episode for a new season. I would stick around after I go back, watch the rest of it, and then come through again.
Matthew will be getting back to us in 2027.
I know, there's so much to unpack about what you just said. So firstly, we probably need to have some spoiler alerts for you, but Princess Diana dies.
Oh, for God's sake, Al, just because it's Netflix, it doesn't mean that you can take the wind out of their sails.
Rob McKnight would have your hide, let me tell you. His has strict spoiler policy.
I didn't know this. Go ahead there. Sorry, Al. Go ahead.
But when The Crown came out, this is probably like, a bit of TV history in 2016. It was kind of extraordinary when they announced that, because they did at the very beginning, they had a vision for where this series was going to go over 6 seasons. And they said, in a certain period of time, and they would take it up to kind of the point that we caught up to real age or real life. But they said that they were going to replace the characters at every kind of age. And I remember in the first season, and Claire Foy was brilliant. And just going like, why? She's perfect. She can be aged up. And then we were talking about it the other day in relation to House of the Dragon and all the controversy about the age leaps and the changing the characters changing. And this was kind of, I feel like Netflix with The Crown were one of the first to really do this and tell a story over such a long period of time and to change up the casting. So it's interesting you jumped in on the casting there, Matt, because it's a really big part of, I think, what The Crown's always been so famous and how quickly you catch up to the new actors that are playing and you partly because you've had a year or so off in between seasons probably, but just what a good job they do to then define the kind of roles as their own, even though someone else really good's just done it.
Yeah, it's also a real strength of it, isn't it, Ali and Matt? Because I think that not only do we get that, new interpretations of the same character, but what we also get to see is some absolutely incredible performances from, as you mentioned, Claire Foy. We've seen Olivia Colman. We're now seeing Imelda Staunton, all playing the same woman. And I think the challenge for The Crown, particularly season 5 and what will be 6, is that we have now really fast-forwarded into our current popular culture memory. So a criticism that I saw, and I've just cut in, I'm really sorry, a criticism that I saw was that people saying they don't really look like them. That's not the point. I don't think that we need to have the guy playing Prince Charles look exactly like Prince Charles. He's doing all right. He's got it kind of happening.
There's a bit of goss that people are thinking that Dominic West, of course, from The Wire and The Affair, The Wire, now streaming on binge.com.au.
On binge.com.au.
Good.
On binge, No, but some people are saying he's too handsome to play Prince Charles.
I thought...
And that's then making people go, this isn't believable. Because as you start to get into your near memory and this kind of near nostalgia stuff, I think it's going to get judged a little bit differently.
Look, I mean, breaking news, Elizabeth Debicki really makes it look like he's punching Willem up his weight anyway. So
she's a lot taller than him too in some of the scenes.
What's her name again? Sorry, what's her last name again?
Make him stand on a box.
Debicki?
Debicki. She's in the Kettering incident, which is a really good Australian original.
Foxtel original.
Oh, my God. Look, sorry. Hey, Ali Baba, I can do it, but are you about to do another binge?
No, I was just going to give you a streaming stat. Since The Crown came out on the weekend, Kettering Incident's gone up on binge.
Nice.
There you go.
People started watching it. So people are following the actor or kind of finding out a bit about it.
Sorry, if I can just kind of pull it back for a little bit. Al, if I wanted to watch that, where the bloody hell would I go, Dal? What would I do?
I think that one's on Paramount Plus.
No one's going to believe that, sweetie. All right, binge.com.au. Sorry for calling you sweetie. That was so bad, and I called you girl before. Oh, my God.
So condescending.
No, it's not meant to be condescending. That's loving.
Sure.
It's better than Alibaba.
Yeah, and which you've done all night.
Oh, shit. All right. Is that it? That's it for the crown? Sorry, Alison. I mean that it's like a character. You know, I'm having fun. I don't mean disrespect. I'm sorry.
It's a fine.
Would you recommend people watch?
It's a fine. Sorry. It's a fine.
That's a spicy meatball. Ali, would you recommend that people watch the rest of The Crown season 5?
Absolutely. I was in. I mean, it's another one that I love with the opening credits. It's one of those shows that just sets up for the quality and what you're about to see. I've always thought the writing in The Crown, it was almost one of those shows when you binge it, you almost watch it too quickly and you can't appreciate how good some of the episodes are. So, yeah, I, like a lot of people last weekend, started binging away. So, no, watch it. Yep. I'm loving it.
Matthew, would you recommend it after seeing half a season in one episode?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Matt, what have you been watching this week?
So nothing too extraordinary other than The Challenge and The Crown, as aforementioned. But on binge.com.au, I have been watching a show that's just on there. It's not made by Binge. I'm sorry, Ali. But Unusual Suspects. It's a crime show. It's true crime. It's in the name. It's someone. Well, not necessarily the person that commits the murder, given that it's always a murder, is the killer, but it's just the suspects along the way. Because funnily enough, all of these victims have met 10 people. Like, I can spend a whole day at home and not see anyone. So it's quite amazing that when these people die, they happen to see 50 different people, 3 former flames, 2 people they were flirting with. Like, it's just like, oh my God.
I'm not sure if this is a cry for help or a promotion for a show.
This is the the doco one, the true crime one.
Yes, this is it's documentary. Each episode's a different case that's been solved, thankfully enough. So that one, it's always been a comfort show. I've known it for a long time, and thank God it's on binge.com.au for me to watch it at a moment's notice, because I love it, especially when I'm sitting alone, not seeing anyone.
Oh my God!
The other one I have watched. It's a Netflix film. It's starring Mila Kunis. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Luckiest Girl Alive. That was a really great movie. Very confronting with various different themes that were going on. I can't really recommend it enough. It hits a lot of things that I think need to probably be addressed society-wise, but just great acting and just great story. I really enjoyed that one. So definitely check that one out on Netflix.
And that's from, it's got Australians behind it as well. Made Up Stories, Bruno Papandreou's production company were involved in that film. So yeah, that's on my list to watch. I'll have to watch it.
It's great.
Malky, what have you been watching?
200 shows as usual, Robbo.
2? You've got 2.
Look, if you have to nail me down. Okay, look, I'll do 2.
You wish.
The first one is a Foxtel Group original, Upright, Season 2, starring Tim Minchin and, the star of House of the Dragon, Millie Alcock. I was very fortunate to see the first 3 episodes at a premiere event last week, which is why I wasn't here, and have since devoured the other episodes on preview. But good news, if you want to watch all of Season 1 and now all of Season 2, it's available on, you guessed it.
No.
binge.com.au. It's a delightful tale. It really is a story in 2 halves for mine when you look now at the 2 seasons. The first season is about Lucky, played by Tim Minchin, and his desire to want to get this piano across the desert to be with his family. I won't spoil it. It's worth the watch. And then season 2 really is about Meg, his travelling companion that he picks up in season 1, and her desire to find her mum.
Great.
They are half-hour episodes. It is really smartly written drama. I really enjoyed the character development that comes out of 1 and into season 2. 1 is a complete tale in itself, quite frankly, and season 2 is another complete tale. So I think you could watch 2 not having seen 1, but there's so much benefit in having seen 1 before you watch 2 for some of that relational development and those sorts of things. I really, really loved it. I cannot recommend Upright season 2 and 1, of course, enough. As a part of seeing the first couple of eps, Tim Minchin and some of his band performed an original song that actually closes the season. And it is heartbreakingly beautiful and speaks to the nature of relationship that is typified in the show, and I think would speak to anybody that has had that knows love. And it's just a delightful song, delightful show. Dramedy in the truest sense. It's weird and funny and sharp and wandery and so good. Upright, cannot recommend it enough. Definitely get into that on binge.com.au. The other show that I'll talk about, Robbo, only two. You'll be pleased. I've only done two.
Thank you.
The other show is on Netflix, and I'm going to rate it the drama of the year.
Ooh.
This is Stanley Tucci, David Tennant, written by Stephen Moffat, Inside Man.
Oh.
It is 4 hours of anxiety-ridden drama. Oh, my God. So incredibly well written and performed. It comes out of a situation that you would think in and of itself could happen to anyone in its first instance. And
having
yet
a man inside you? You
possibly,
said Inside
Robbo.
Man, didn't you? Wasn't the title Inside Man?
It is called Inside Man.
So you're suggesting that anyone can imagine having a man inside. Okay, go on. Yeah, I'm with you.
Anyone could imagine that, but that's not what it's about. Stanley Tucci's character is on death row in America. And
sorry.
Therefore, he's the inside man. David Tennant is a vicar in a quaint little British town.
Dibley. No.
No.
Sorry, I'm making fun of you. I'm so sorry. Go on.
That's great. You're just prolonging the podcast. That's all it is. What happens is, like I said, can happen to anyone, but how it then rolls out and plays out and decisions that are made. My wife and I watched it, and we were just on edge. And you get to the point in every episode where you're like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You can't do that. And they do it. And you just get drawn into this series of decisions that they make. It's crafted so well, which is a rarity for me to say about Stephen Moffat written stuff. But the performances are razor sharp. And the way even that those two key characters in Tucci and Tennant cut into the series together is, honestly, I'm going to say it's a masterclass in plotting, if nothing else. Definitely set aside 4 hours. You will not want to split it up. Inside Man on Netflix. It's a BBC drama, I think, that Netflix, it's a co-pro with. So if you're in the UK, it's on BBC. Everywhere else, it's Netflix. Holy shit. You'll walk away from it feeling like all of the adrenaline will be coursing through your body. It's amazing. Don't watch it before bed.
Whoa, what a wrap.
Very,
That's
very
my two
good.
shows, Robbo.
Thank you very much, Mulkey. Alison Hubert-Burns, what have you been watching?
Am I allowed to have two as well? Because it's like
Please.
trying to pick your favourite child. One of my shows, I think last year, we've got a binge podcast, and we were talking about the shows that got us through 2021, and then thinking about the shows that got us through 2022. One of my favourite dramas of the year is a show called Industry, which is a co-production between BBC and HBO, and it's set.
Choice.
It's kind of like someone said to me, and I hate when you mush up shows to kind of explain what a show is, but I'm going to do it, which is Euphoria meets Succession.
Yes.
So it's young people working in a bank in London, and they are ambitious and they're from really diverse backgrounds. Some are born with silver spoons in their mouth, some have come in the hard way. But it's actually written and created by two ex-bankers so it's kind of really kind of true to banking and but not in like it's all about banking. It's actually about humans and what motivates them, and almost the younger generation going, I'm fighting for this role and all this money and power, but do I actually even want it, and at what price? It's really some brilliant performances. Some of the actors and stuff involved will just be breakout stars, and you'll start seeing them in absolutely everything. It's just been renewed for a third season, which is great because it took a while for the renewal announcement to come out, and I was a bit worried, but there's 2 seasons. So if you're looking for something, I think there's like 8 or 10 episode seasons. You can do a total binge, but really brilliant drama, really good show, great soundtrack, just brilliantly done, very classy. And the other one, which isn't available yet for everyone, we've got the launch coming next week, but it's our next original called Colin from Accounts, which is an Australian comedy. I know you're talking about Upright, but once you're through watching Upright and you need something else funny and gorgeous, but Colin from Accounts is, our first comedy from Binge. It's created and written and stars Patrick Bramall and Harriet Dyer. It's directed by Trent O'Donnell and Matt Moore. It's got a cast of really recognisable, awesome Australian actors, and I just can't wait for Australia to see this soon. So look out for Old Colin from Accounts. It was shot. It was actually shot in New South Wales, this one, and across different parts of Sydney. But yeah, we've got Paddy and Harriet coming back from LA next week because they bounce between here and the kind of Roo crew in LA, and to launch it. So
great,
Colin from Accounts.
Robbo, this is where I announced that I won't be on the podcast next week because I'm going to be at that Colin from Accounts event.
We'll make him record from the red carpet. How about that?
Well, I was going to say, the amount of times we've said binge.com.au, I think we'll all be there. Thank you. Thank you, LHB.
Yeah, no podcast next week. Everyone's coming to the party.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to talk about my binge this week, and it is You Can't Ask That on the ABC. Now, I thought about picking a certain episode, and I thought, no, that's not what I want to do, because I think that's not the beauty of the show. I think that if everyone goes to ABC iView and pick an episode that speaks to you, and then I think we can talk about that next week. And I think that'll be really special, because there are so many episodes that, you can make really personal to yourself or personal to someone that you know. Yeah. And I've been a big fan of this show for a long time, but haven't really delved into it enough or given it the respect I think it deserves. It's an amazing show. It's on iView. Pick whatever episode you like. And also, people listening at home, pick the episode that you like and let us know what you think at tvblackbox.com.au.
So that's our group binge next week, Robbo, is You Can't Ask That.
That's right. Yep. And just pick your episode, and I think that's the way to go. It is just wonderful. All right, that's all we've got time for tonight on TV Black Box. A big thank you to Mulk.
Thank you so much, Robbo.
Thank you to Matthew Simmons.
Thank you once again.
Abby Mickelson for doing what she does.
Super producer. She
doesn't know how to turn a mic on. She's new to this. And a very big thank you to my dear friend. We've been friends for a long time. Ali Barber, AHB, the HB Pencil, Alison Hubert Burns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali. Oh, my God.
Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Thanks,
you know what's really fun, though? Is I'm going to give you my email address. And if you just want to... I want to watch... that show you just talked about. Yeah. So I want to watch that show and other shows that you've got on binge.com.au. So we'll talk off air. Thank you for your company here on TV Black Box, the podcast. Remember, for all your TV news, just head to tvblackbox.com.au. We were going to have Rob McKnight as a guest, but we've run out of time, everyone. We don't have time for you, Rob, so we'll try and fit you in next week. That's me. That's all from me. David Robinson. Have a great night. Goodbye.